The the GOP is in what they call a massive turmoil, and it's fucking delicious. But can Moscow Mitch and Kevin McCarthy survive this? Now, I've seen some circular firing squads while observing politics, but never anything like this. But never like what's going on in the Republican Party right now. Now, usually, it's the Democrats ripping each other apart over an election loss. That's technically the Republicans, basically, and they're running around in circles, casting blame. That's Trump and the Republicans, and rushing to avoid responsibility. In other words, making everything worse. That's Trump and the Republicans too. But they look like rank amateurs compared to the GOP, which is in the throes of the angriest political tantrum I've ever seen. And I must confess to a full-blown case of Schadenfreude over it. The unexpected run of Democratic victories that they've already held the Senate, and it will come within a whisker of holding the House and have a bunch of state-level races too. And it has shaken the foundations of both the maggot world and what used to be known as the Republican establishment. Now, although the difference between the two is not readily discernible these days, and it's only in times of Trump scandal or electoral catastrophe that we can still glimpse some daylight between them, and there's generally a round of hand-wringing and public disavowal from some of their important thought leaders and elected officials until they get a word from the base that Trump is still their daddy and that they fall back into line. I'm sure you remember the last time that this happened, after the January 6th Klan attack when Trump incited his rabid sycophants to storm the Capitol with the apparent goal of literally hanging the vice squatter. And why for a few days many Republicans were very upset. Even a loyal Trump lackey like South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham said, "Count me out, enough is enough." And House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy declared that the squatter bears responsibility for what happened that day. There were resignations from the cabinet and angry denunciations by dozens of Republicans who had happily gone along with Trump's big lie up until this point. Then they got yelled at in airports by their maggot constituents, and suddenly a violent assault on their own workplace didn't seem like such a big deal after all. Now, Kevin McCarthy had went down to Mar-a-Lago to mend fences and kiss Trump's ass, but no word on whether he brought some of those red starburst candies that Trump loves so much. Now, the Senate GOP leader at the time, Moscow Mitch, resigned himself to Trump once again, even though he had just lost the Senate majority, thanks to those Georgia runoffs the day before the January 6th Klan attack, and everything fell back into place. Trump was the undisputed head of the Republican Party, having cemented his leadership by attempting to stage a Klan attack and getting away with it. Now, the assumption going into these midterm elections was that the party holding the White House would get routed for all the reasons everyone has already discussed ad nauseum. It didn't turn out that way, as I and many others have pointed out along the way. Donald Trump is the gift that keeps on giving to the Democrats. If Trump had kept his fat fucking mouth shut and stayed out of the Republican primaries, as Senate Republicans wanted him to, it's entirely likely that it would have gone different. But then again, their own cowardice and opportunism are as much to blame as he is. And they had the chance to make sure that Trump would never run again by convicting him in the second impeachment trial, and they whiffed and stalled. They're still stuck with him, and the results are as bad as they have been in every major election since 2016. Now, recriminations are coming in fast and furious from the right-wing media establishment, starting with the Murdoch empire. The faux celebrities haven't all abandoned Trump quite yet, and they're no doubt waiting for the smoke to clear before they decide on their next move. There's a shiny new candidate on the scene who also says he was called by the invisible ferryman to lead the nation, and many in the GOP have turned their lonely eyes to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, hoping that he can save the day, which he won't. And that, of course, has finally uncorked Trump's resentment against the man he sees as his creation, which has reportedly been boiling up for years now. Trump even claimed in a post on his fake social media platform that he had ordered the FBI and Department of Justice to intervene in DeSantis' very close 2018 election to ensure his win. Now, Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, has said that's not true. Now, Trump is righteously angry that he's being blamed for all the nutcases he encouraged and endorsed going down and defeat, but even more upset that DeSantis is being held up in contrast as the party's only big 2022 success. Now, let's just say that the gauntlet has been thrown down, and the battle between Trump and DeSantis is on. It's not going to be fucking pretty, but Trump is already going dirty, apparently spreading rumors about DeSantis' personal life. Now, whether or not this will actually spell the end of Trump's stranglehold on the Republican Party remains to be seen, but it's highly unlikely that this loss will result in Trump losing control, of the 40% or so of the party faithful who worship him, and that makes him as formidable as ever. And all they have to do is start chasing leading Republicans through airports again, and he's back in business. Meanwhile, back in Washington, all hell broke loose. In the Republican caucuses in both houses, Trump is blaming Moscow Mitch for losing the Senate, but somehow Kevin McCarthy, who is said to be on the horn with Trump several times a day, escapes his wrath for failing to produce the eagerly awaiting red wave in the House. But nobody knows whether McCarthy will ever have the votes for Speaker, assuming that the Republicans manage to eke out a majority, probably by just a couple seats, and the newly empowered Marjorie Taylor Greene caucus is already flexing its muscles, planning to create chaos at every turn. Now, even if McCarthy finally gets the gavel, odds are good that he lasts less than half the time of his latest GOP predecessor, Paul Ryan. Now, Moscow Mitch is also under fire from some senators who want to use him as the scapegoat, largely to avoid having to blame Trump. A bunch of prominent right-wing senators, including Josh Hawley of Missouri, Marco Rubio of Florida, Mike Lee of Utah, Ted Cruz of Texas, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, and Senate campaign chairman Rick Scott of Florida, and the aforementioned Lindsey Graham, or also we like to call him Lady G, have weighed in to say that the votes for minority leader should wait until after the December 6th. So basically, they're saying wait until after the December 6th runoff election in Georgia between Senator Raphael Warnock and the guy who likes to run off from women, Herschel Walker. It's hard to know which of these ambitious vultures are trying to whip votes for themselves, although Scott almost certainly is, and why they think the Georgia race should be decisive, since Democrats already won the majority. But it's backstabbing season, and Moscow Mitch is a target right between his shoulder blades. On the other hand, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas just came out in support of Moscow Mitch a few days after Cotton announced that he won't run for squatter in 2024, and the game runs deeper than that. Now, as you can see, the Republican Party is in serious disarray. As if that weren't enough, Donald Trump himself says that he will make a major announcement on Tuesday night to pour more gasoline on the fire, which he did, and word is that he will make a very professional, very buttoned-up speech rather than his usual this rally he claimed was going to be very buttoned up, but it was just another unhinged Klan rant, which I have to admit is more savvy. Trump understands that being unpredictable gets him attention, and we can all see the TV pundits declaring that he's a changed man, which is really not. More sober and more serious after the election debacle, which nope. And who will be the first to declare Donald Trump reestablished himself as the front runner for the 2024 presidential Republican nomination? And who will be the first Republican official to rush to the microphone to endorse him? Which does not count Representative Elise Stefanik of New York, who didn't even wait for his official announcement. But I think that there's every chance that the circular firing squad will miss him, as it always does. I'm not so sure that McCarthy and Moscow Mitch can survive all this. However, somebody has to pay for this disastrous showing, and I see no reason to believe that the GOP establishment has enough self-preservation instinct to remain and save itself. But in a certain sense, this is what you love to see. Yeah, but I don't think they're ever going to survive that. They're already in turmoil. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, REW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you're notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just as little as a few bucks a month, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.